Kia ora everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Untidy. My name is Matilda Green. I am a mother of three, content creator, soon to be maternity leave radio DJ filler, and I am here with my freshly snipped co-host.
I haven't had a vasectomy, everybody, but I have had my mullet removed. I went in for the 8-week mullet removal. My name is Hannah Davison. I'm the co-founder and author of the My Big Moments children's books. I'm the mother to 2. I'm the animal mother to 3. And yeah, as Maddie says, I am freshly snipped straight out of the hairdresser.
I love that you said an 8-week mullet removal. So does the mullet just keep on creeping back in?
We haven't had a hair update in a while.
We haven't, actually. Good point.
Yeah, so you know how I was like, I am going to get my blunt bob back by Christmas. I had another setback. The hair stopped growing again. More fell out. I don't know why. I think I might have like reeled off all the different things I use for my hair in terms of like supplements and topical applications and stuff. I ran out of my like rosemary infused hair oil. I put the rosemary essential oil into that like Moroccan light hair oil stuff just for those people who are experiencing this. I think that's the thing that makes the biggest difference. I ran out of that for a couple of months and I really have noticed like a gap in the growth. And then because there was a gap in the growth, then the bits that were longer shed. And then I was like, oh, I'm just left with a whole lot of short bits.
Then there's a mismatch.
Then there's a mismatch. But let me tell you, the bit at the back that's responsible for the profound mullet that develops over an 8-week period, that goes great guns. So then like the last 2 weeks before I see my hairdresser is this really awkward hair stage where I just wear it up because of the mullet.
Yeah, well, it looks lovely. You look gorgeous.
Well, thank you. I feel a little bit
gorgeous.
unkempt this morning, but it is what it is, everybody. I went to the hairdresser this morning with my lovely, do you like my new jumper, my green jumper?
I do. What does it say on it? Because
I
there's
don't know.
something
I
behind.
bought it at H&M. It's something pretending to be French, you know, fine by me.
Oui,
And then
Paris.
then I went to the loo after I'd seen the hairdresser, noticed I had a massive chocolate stain from when I was being a greedy little piglet the other night watching maths. And I was like, whoa, can't
Isn't
dress
it
myself.
incredible how chocolate just gets, like, you think you're being clean while you're eating it, like, oh,
You
I'm
think
going
you've
to be
shoveled it all
really,
in?
yeah, and then it's just somewhere. It's always somewhere on your body. When you get up,
Yeah.
it's on the couch, it's mushed in, it's on your
Yeah.
top, it's,
And it melts
bloody
straight away. And
chocolate.
so I was like, well, you know, I can't do it all.
No.
It's fine.
Exactly. Well, you got to the hair appointment and you look lovely, and I really like your new jumper. So
Oh, thank you, Maddie.
you're rocking it today.
You know, and this is what I come here for, all the compliments. If anyone else would like free compliments, get in touch.
Yeah, hey, we'll compliment you no matter what. Which, before we get into what we're going to talk about, I just wanted to, have you seen the trend on Instagram where it's like somebody puts up a video or a picture of themselves and they're like, hey guys, let me know my blind spots, comment below. Yeah. And then
Oh
people
my
just
God.
are like, actually, you should put filler in your upper lip to like match your nose, and like you've got slightly blah blah. This is wrong with you. It's completely fucked.
That's so toxic. Hey, Maddie,
I
you know how
know.
sometimes your kids get your phone and they take a photo of you and then you send it to me because it's always real unflattering?
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
put one of those up and be like,
Hey guys.
hey guys, let me know my blind spots? Like one from the low angle with the, you know, like as much chin as possible, preferably straight out of the scratcher in your dressing gown, like one eye half closed.
That's a great
I'll
idea,
do it for the pod,
actually.
Maddie.
I will do it for the pod. Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I know the exact picture I'm going to use. It springs
Oh,
to
yeah.
mind straight away. But also,
Great.
I'm a working woman, Bean. I am a
Well, you
working 9
are.
to 5, except it's 12:45 to 7:30. For listeners who aren't aware, I'll just go on about it again, shall I?
Please do.
I'll
Bang
bang on
on.
about it. I've already said it in this podcast. This is the second time. So I'm going to be taking over from PJ on the hits when she goes on maternity leave on the drive show. And I have started easing my way in. So I had my first week last week where I haven't officially taken over, but I'm contributing. On the odd voice break, I will say some words, and it's very exciting. And then I think from first week of April, then it's just Maddie McLean and I. on the drive show, which is very exciting.
Oh my God.
But I can't even explain how tired I was when it came to Friday night. Oh my God. And like, it's not as if I'm learning how to be a brain surgeon or like, but I think it's just one, learning something new, two, commuting into the city every day, and three, just doing something that requires energy. Because, sometimes when we have a podcast, like if we have two podcasts in a day, we're
We're
quite
we're
wiped.
screwed.
Yeah,
We
we're
are.
like
Yeah,
pretty
there's
tired.
so much focus, and like it's because it's all got to happen in that moment, and then like you're not just concentrating on the conversation that you're having, you're concentrating on all the other things that you need to pay attention to at the same time. Like there's a lot of mental energy that goes into it.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
We
And
work really
it's
hard, guys. Okay.
well, it made me think like, what the fuck have I been doing for the last 7 years? You know what I mean? Like that
You've had
I
some
feel
stuff
like
on.
I've been really busy with work, but then I'm like, have I? Like, I'm so tired after that 1 week of like going into an office. I think it's just like a different, it's the change, I think, that
Yeah.
is bringing the tiredness, right?
And
Tell me
you're
it's that.
hyper vigilant. You're on
Yeah.
high alert. You're learning something new. You're getting into a new dynamic. Like it matters to you. Whereas the stuff that you've been doing, like you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You've
it's like
got it.
mainly just me. I'm not like in an office scenario. I'm not meeting lots of different people every day. And I don't know. It's just kind of a like we do the podcast and we're energetic, and then we stop the podcast and I'm like, "Doo, doo, doo, doo." It's then I'm not energetic after that. It's just different. But it has been really, really cool, and just it's gonna be fun. I'm very
I'm
excited about
so
it.
excited for this.
I know, and I had a chat to the kids this morning as I was dropping the older two at preschool. I was like, "So, we're 1 week down of my new job and me not being there in the afternoons and the evenings. Like, how are we all feeling?" And before I even finished my sentence, Milo just went, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yep, yep, yep." And I was like, "Okay," and I was like,
Righto.
"Okay,
Very
so
dismissive from
so
you.
that like what does that mean?" And he was just like, "It's fine. It's fine." So I didn't really know what to make of that. He's only 5.5. I was like, "What does this mean?" Is that like it's sort of too he doesn't want to talk about it, or he genuinely does not give a shit. I don't know. I
Like
couldn't
maybe
tell.
he feels like you're laboring the issue.
Maybe that's it. Like maybe
I
he
don't
feels
mean to
like
be, I
I'm
don't mean I
going
don't
on
mean
about
to for this to sound like a criticism, but like maybe he's like, okay, you just, we get it,
yeah.
mum. I
Yeah.
don't
I
know.
think
What was your take?
that was kind of my read on it too. Like, I just was like, "Okay, yeah, maybe I'll just shut up about it. How about that?"
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
fair
I'm
enough.
gonna try that and just, see what happens.
What I'm gonna try and do, okay,
Is
new
just
stage of personal growth, shutting the fuck up.
shut the fuck up. Actually, that's a joke that Art and I make when, like, something's stressful. We're like, "Oh, have you tried just shutting the fuck up about it?" It's quite fun.
I find it really works, and I think it's gonna really work for you, and I think it's gonna really work for me if you start doing it.
It's a win for all. It's a win for all.
Yeah. Listen, I heard about this great new strategy. I don't know if you saw it on Instagram. It's called shutting the fuck up. Have you tried it? Seeing it everywhere.
Highly, highly but, how are you going? How are the kids?
Oh,
What's been happening?
okay. Going Going great. I have just there's like a lot going on. I've got my stepfather's in hospital, stuck in Paris. That's a whole thing.
Oh
But
god.
this is fresh news. So, we're on the live feed of the family chat, just
Is he
seeing
all
what's going
right?
on. Well, it remains to be seen. Anyway, mum's gonna go over and try and get him home. So it's a bit of a thing. It's a bit of a thing. So we've got that going on.
Okay.
Just discovered my darling podcast hound, Duchess, whom we are all obsessed with. Well, I assume that everyone is obsessed with. It's mostly me. She's getting incontinent. I
Oh,
know. She's going to be 14 in
darling.
June. So, and last night, because I kept finding these like little puddles, and I'm like, is the freezer leaking or is the dog leaking? I can't figure it out. But
Mm.
then last night she was like lying, sleeping in the middle of the kitchen as I was cooking, which she is wont to do should anything fall from the bench, and the dog leaked. I
Oh,
know.
Duchess.
I know. So
Sweetheart.
I'm a little bit like, oh. But luckily for Duchess, her stepmother is a vet. So we have our own personal vet in the family for Duchess.
That is
So
very
she is
handy.
always getting the very best of care, as she well deserves. So we've got that going
As
on.
only the Duchess should,
As
quite
only the
frankly.
Duchess should. The kids are great. I did have an interesting parenting moment with Alex where he completely called me out
Good
the
on
other night.
me.
He and he's always spot on. Like,
Right.
it's very humbling, and
Oh, the
I'm
worst kind of call out when it's
when
accurate.
I'm like, "God, you're fucking right. I am an asshole." And I'm going to share it on the pod because this is what we do, isn't it? Let's just get our
'Cause
shame
we're
out.
raw and authentic.
We're raw
Yeah,
and
we're so
honest, and so
real.
I guess we have to be. Shameful parenting moment. So the other night, now my darling daughter Frankie is one for always just consistently forgetting to put her wet towel back in the bathroom and always leaving her dirty clothes in the bathroom where she's taken them off. And no matter how many times you remind her about the things, night after night after night, it's happening. Anyway, so Alex has started taking it upon himself to remind Frankie about the clothes and the towel. He is very orderly, but he was like, and he said it quite nicely, but then he sort of finished up with, oh, like you do all the time, and I was like, Alex, there's no need to say that. You've said the thing, she's tidying it up. You don't need to go on about it, like don't shame her about it. Like, So I gave him one of those. And then I was tired and frustrated. Obviously, it's no excuse, but my fuse was quite short.
Hmm.
And then I'm sort of getting them ready for bed and I'm running around like putting away laundry or whatever the hell I was doing. And I go into her room. Now, she operates by a deep litter system. She just nests. And to be fair, she doesn't have a very big room. So it gets messy very fast. But I find disorder stressful and overwhelming for my brain. And when I was already a bit overwhelmed, again, not an excuse.
But I think that
I,
that's normal, right? Like
yeah,
any parent when they're stressed and frustrated, and
and tired.
disorder is just it's the pits. As
Yeah,
soon as
and
it's
then
over the
so
edge.
I lost my cool and I went in there and I was like, Frankie, this room is a shithole. Like, can you just tidy it up? You just need to put those things away. And I could feel in the moment that I was doing it that I had lost my
Hmm.
cool and I shouldn't have done it. And as it's, how it's coming out and you're like, you're a prick, as it's
Yes.
coming out. And then I bustled off and did something else. And then I came back around to turn out the lights and give them the final kisses and cuddles and fill up the waters and all the things that you do last. And Alex was like, Mum, can I talk to you, please? It's like going to the fucking principal's office. No, you have to promise you won't get angry with me. I said, I
Oh,
promise.
big
I know.
call at the start. Bloody
I
hell.
know. So I knew something was coming. I
Yeah.
promise I won't get angry with me. He said, Mum, before when I said to Frankie about her clothes and you told me not to shame her about it, then you went into her room and you said it was a shithole. And I don't think you chose your words very well. And then you tried to get her to tidy it up when it's already bedtime and there isn't even time to do it. And I don't think that was very fair. And
Oh.
yeah, like completely called me out for being a total hypocrite. And yeah, and he's like, I just don't think you chose your words very well, and I don't think it was the right moment. And
Bless his little heart,
I know,
honestly.
I know.
But
And I
also,
was like,
what a beautiful thing that he feels safe to say that to you.
I know,
I
I
think that's
know.
actually a really positive thing.
It is, and I was so proud of him. I obviously wasn't proud of myself, but I was so proud of him. And I said, Alex, thank you so much for saying that to me. That was really brave. And I really respect that you did that. Thank you for sticking up for your sister. And thank you for calling me out because you're absolutely right. I didn't choose my words well, and that wasn't fair. And I'm going to go and apologize to Frankie right now. And I really appreciate you for doing that.
Oh, oh, what a sweetheart. Oh,
I
and it
know.
is like, oh, it's those moments where you think like all
This
of
is the
the
kid.
that's the kid, and it's also like
This is
all of
the
the
kid that we're
hard
dealing with.
graft that you have done over like years and years when they're little, I feel like those are the moments where it pays off as well. Like when you fuck up, right? You've made a mistake, but still the hard work that you have put in to that child is not undone and won't be
Yeah.
undone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
what a,
Yeah.
like how
And
it's a
like,
really cool moment actually.
it was a
It's really
really cool
cool.
moment. Like, obviously, it doesn't feel great when you have made a mistake with your child,
Of course.
but it does feel great when you're like, wow, this is the person that he is. This is the person who sticks up for someone when there's been an injustice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really want to celebrate that and, appreciate him for doing that. And then what was also nice is that Frankie's room is right next door, so she could hear the entire exchange. So
Mm.
she got to witness her brother sticking up for her, and she got her apology.
Yeah, and she got
Um,
mean old mum to come in and say, "Yeah, all
I'm
right, maybe
sorry.
you
Yeah.
shouldn't have." But
Yeah.
also clean it.
But also still a shithole. Didn't say that, didn't say
No,
it.
no. I remember
And
mum, like, coming into my room some days and being like, "Even just shutting the drawers, even if you just did that, that would make such a difference." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, it's fine. I'll get to it."
yeah. It was funny, like, I used to be like Frankie when I was a kid. Like, I still get reminded of how my room would end up just spilling out into the hallway with, like, piles of clothes that I'd have to climb over to get out of the door and back into my bedroom because it was, like, just at full capacity inside. But then when I was in adolescence, like, a switch flicked and it changed, and then I became super orderly. But this actually is a very smooth segue to talking about my ADHD assessment that I had yesterday, because I had my 2-hour assessment. And I mentioned that during the assessment. She's like, yeah, that is a common, like, coping mechanism. So that was really interesting. And,
That is interesting.
yeah, so I have hopes that Frankie, who I also really suspect is ADHD, might at some point in her adolescence become
She might go through the
fastidiously
orderly phase.
orderly. Um,
So how did the talk us through
yeah,
the
okay.
assessment?
So just to, like, recap, I decided to privately seek an ADHD diagnosis. It's cost about $1,800, and that's
Crazy.
covered an initial 30-minute, like, kind of prep meeting, and to determine if I was an appropriate candidate to go through the assessment and to maybe, like, receive treatment afterwards, and that was all fine. And then you fill out a bunch of questionnaires and forms. So I had to do that, and my mum and my sister had to do that about me as well.
Mm,
And that was one thing where I was like, oh, this is part of the process that I'm really going to procrastinate on and I'm reluctant to do because I know that it's involved. And that's the kind of thing that I will procrastinate hard on and try to avoid.
yeah.
However, for those people who are feeling that, it was nowhere near as bad as I expected. And then you do your 2-hour assessment where you talk to the psychologist, and the first half, like the first hour, is talking about your childhood and adolescence and young adulthood and what you were like and things that happened and how you were with things and various memories and stuff like that. And then the second half is talking about, like, what you behave like and what you do in life right now. And she actually mentioned, she's like, you might laugh at this, but one of the things that we look at for the main assessment, it will send us an alert if someone has gone through it very, very fast. Do you
Mm.
tend to complete tasks very, very fast? And she's like, because it alerted us about your one. I was like, yes. um,
It's surprising actually, because I would have thought for ADHD it would be slow.
Nah, you just wanna blitz it. You just wanna, like,
Right.
I know this is gonna be hard, I just wanna get on with it and get it over and done with, like, and
Yeah.
just boom, 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 boom.
That's hilarious. They've
Um,
got a little alert.
yeah. I know, I know. I was like, "Oh, busted." And it was really good, but I've never put it all together, my whole story and my whole history and the way that I've responded to things and the choices that I've made and how I've made those choices and the way that I behave and the things that I need and the way that I operate. I've never had it put together
Mm.
with, like, that condensed. I'm using my a hand gesture here, which is no help for anyone who's on audio. I'm holding my hands like a box in that kind of condensed view
Yeah.
where I've seen that whole picture through that lens. And it was actually quite confronting
Mm.
because my sister messaged me and she's like, "When's your assessment?" I'm like, well, halfway through taking a break. And she's like, "How does it feel?" I'm like, "It just makes me feel like a mess when I look at it like this," which is hard. And I know that's just that inner critic just going, "Oh my God," like that just, when you look at it like that, you can see kind of what I would feel was like dysfunctional and messy and, you know, all of the things that I have felt uncomfortable about in myself. So that was quite confronting. But then it was also validating because then she's like, "You're going to get your full feedback next week." But she's like, from what we've talked about, you know, basically, I think a diagnosis is pretty clear here. So that's validating because I know that it's not just
It's not just
me
you in your head.
fucking failing at humaning. So that is validating. And but yeah, it brought up, and like just bringing up a lot of like difficult memories too sometimes was
Mm.
was confronting. I'm really glad I've done it. I'm really glad I'm on the other side of it. And I'm glad that one of my things this year was to actually help myself and support myself to be effective and productive and do the things that I actually needed to do for, my mental and emotional well-being. And look at me wearing my glasses and doing my ADHD diagnosis, and those things are happening. So I'm happy with
Mm.
that.
Bloody good for you because it's also not easy looking at yourself introspectively like that and thinking, you know, why did I do that? Or why did I make that choice? Or like we tend to kind of beat ourselves up a little bit like, oh, why did I handle it like that? Or why couldn't I have done this? Or why couldn't I have done that? But I think it's really brave of you to change that around in terms of like, I'm going to talk to someone about this and I'm going to get some answers and then I'm going to have some tools to be able to live the life that I want to live the way I want to live it. And I think that's amazing. Like good for you.
Thank you.
It's very brave, I think.
Thank you. I think it's hard. One of the things that's, made me reluctant to do it is because there is shame that I carry about the way that I am and the way that I operate. And I was talking to a friend yesterday when I was saying, "Oh, I'm just racing off. I've got my assessment next." And he was like, "I just don't see you like that. When I look at you, the way that you present and the things that you do, I just don't see you like that." And I'm like, "I know, but because women are so good at masking, and you see the presentation and you see the output and you see the competence and you see what I am capable of, but you don't see the process of what happens on the inside to get there."
Mm,
And that is the bit where there's a lot of, criticism of myself and shame and frustration and challenge, just like the difficulty to kind of steer through the fog of what my brain gives me to try and focus and stay focused and bring myself back so that I can achieve the things that I want to achieve. Because I am competent and I am capable and I can do all the things. I just want to do it in a way that doesn't feel so fucking hard,
mm,
you know?
yeah.
And I just like, I'm really conscious of letting people down. Like, I know that because a lot of this can cause overwhelm, when I get that short fuse, and that's when I go in and tell my daughter that her room's a shithole, when I don't need to do that to her, because I'm
Mm,
overwhelmed.
yeah.
So that's where we're at with that. I'm
Well,
really glad that I'm going through the process, and like it's good to share it here as well, because other people who are suspecting they might have ADHD, and particularly when you hit perimenopause, it makes it all really come to the fore because
mm,
you just have that much more going on, that the sort of symptoms of it are more pronounced. It's very common to be getting women my age juggling all the things to be like, "Wait a second. I've been struggling along this whole time, but I actually think now it might be time to acknowledge that there's something else going on here.
Mm. Well, good for you.
Mm,
It's a step in the right direction. And when you have more tools to be able to understand yourself and manage yourself, it will only lead to positive things.
yeah. Yeah, it absolutely will. And it's already leading to more self-compassion.
Mm.
And I think that's really important because what is the point of wasting energy beating yourself up for just the way that you're put together? Like if I can get some tools that are going to help me achieve the things that I want to achieve, be the parent that I want to be, then great, let's do it because I've got a lot of shit to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes. So, stepping up to doing the things that's looking after myself. The other thing that I've started doing on a much lighter note, I went and got a really good facial the other day and I got some great advice on how to deal with my face and my skin, which I'm like, okay, I'm seeing changes now, perimenopause zone, things are changing. And I'm like, I'm still running the same routine that I was, much like the makeup. I'm still running the same routine with my skincare that I was basically for all time. And maybe I need to actually find out from someone who knows what they're doing what it actually needs and how I can just extend the longevity of the skin on my face. So that was really good. And I got to ask all the questions that I needed to ask, and I've got a plan. And like, I feel hesitant about doing anything invasive. It just like it doesn't sit comfortably with me. Not right now, anyway, but you never know down the line.
You've also got lovely
Um,
skin. Like you really
Thank
do have
you.
lovely skin. So, I wouldn't be, drastically doing anything
No,
crazy.
no, I'm not. I'm just like I think I need to like educate myself and just make sure that the stuff that I am doing, and I was like, look, I do need a very simple routine. I'm not going to be putting on 47 serums every night. Let's just make that clear.
Who can
Um,
be bothered,
who can be
honestly?
bothered? So I just wanted to like educate myself about what's going on and what the options are and stuff like that. So I'm like, look at me, just taking responsibility.
Taking life by the reins, eh?
Oh
Did they do that horrific thing where they ask you to put your face in that sort of
no, and I was
UV?
thrilled that they didn't.
And it's also like, I mean, that's not what we look like. You know what I mean? Like
No.
when you put your face in there and it's like, "Oh my god." And they're like, so there's some sun damage here and there's some dry skin there and there's some thing." It's like, "Well, yeah, when there's a, UV light pointed right at it,
Yeah.
like that's
What
not
do
what
you
any
think it's gonna look like?
yeah, like that's not what anyone looks like when you just see them." It's oh god, those things
I
piss me off.
know.
And like, so obviously you're gonna need all of these products for
Yeah, they're
that
very
horrific
expensive.
damage. Did you not see the picture? Horrific.
She did tell me that I've got good, strong skin, so that's great.
That's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well,
So
that
there's
that
things that
one
we can do, so
that one routine that you've been running for however long,
yeah, cleanse,
30
tone, and
years,
moisturize.
is
Boom.
obviously working for you.
Bit of SPF here and there. Exfoliate when I remember, not a problem.
Oh,
So
lovely.
that was really good. But I had a date that night and I was like, listen, I am afraid of turning up to this date looking like a boiled tomato. So whatever we're gonna do, we just need to make sure that it's not too aggressive, okay? Because I can't be turning up looking like my entire fucking face has been peeled off. So, we adjusted our plan for that.
Amazing. And how was the date?
Fantastic.
How exciting.
And I'm giving away not any more
No,
information.
not for the pod yet.
But I actually went to a place where a friend had been on a date the week previous and his date had gone so well. He was staying at my house that night and nothing funky, just purely
Mm.
purely logistics. And he'd ended up like coming in like dancing around the kitchen and it was just the cutest thing in the world. And I'm like, I'm going there. That's obviously got great date juju.
And evidently, can
And
you
evidently it does. So
can you share the location for Christchurch peeps that want good date juju? Can
okay,
you?
well,
I
yeah,
suppose.
why not? But I'm going to give an honest review because there's no perks in this for me. If there were, maybe it'd be less honest. The Dirty
I'm
Land,
cherry picking.
Victoria Street, great date juju. And there's this like room, this really small room at the back with like 4 tables where it's kind of like all got red light. So it's all very
Oh, very
sultry,
date juju.
very date juju. However, the service was a little lackluster. I will say
Okay.
that. I will
Okay.
say that. We went there, we had one drink, and then we're like, oh, should we get another? Oh, yeah, let's. And then the guy just never turned up.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. So they've got some work-ons, and that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, happy to come back and have another go, and then I will review that review. But anyway, great news. It didn't look like a boiled tomato. Had a great date. Everyone's a winner.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you have a little
I do.
date
I do.
boyfriend story, Maddie. Then we just
I
need to do a wee recap on
we do.
on the
I
history of
can't
this. And
remember.
she says, holding the bridge of her nose in absolute agony.
I know what's coming. Do you, listeners? Do you know what's coming? So
How could we
basically,
forget?
where to start? Where to start? Right. So when I lived in London, I was seeing this guy. Long story short, shat my pants. Okay, let's just get straight to it. So he said, this is a whole episode. If you want
This
to
is a hot
know
yes.
the
We'll
full
put
story, you need to
yeah.
listen to the episode because it's too long to recap here, but it ends in shitting pants.
Oh, and I tell you what, that's one of the funniest episodes we've ever done. I will put the link in the show notes. It's the greatest post story of all time. And Maddie, as ever, what a good sport you are. What a good sport you are for sharing that.
I know. Well, okay, so that was the context of the poo story. So anyway, that guy, still follow him on social media and whatever. You know, we're on friend terms, fine. Well, I sort of thought we were, but now I'm like, I'm not sure if we are. So,
We might
anyway,
have been downgraded to acquaintance terms. I
yeah.
knew you once. Do you ever think he knew that you shat your pants?
He didn't know at the time. There's no way that he could have known at the
Okay.
time, but whether he has seen our
The
Instagram or
real?
listened to the podcast.
And he's like, wait a second.
Because
This
I don't
sounds
think
familiar.
I named him. I don't think I named him, but I think
But we will now.
But I think he would know if it was him. So anyway, I noticed on Instagram, so he's actually a recent kind of celebrity, I want to say.
Look at you guys.
I know. So he went on a reality dating show. How weird is that? What are the chances? We've both been on reality.
Amazing.
I know. Anyway, yeah, so he's doing like celebrity stuff and he was away on a press trip from what I saw and he was with somebody called Joanne McNally.
Who
And
I
we
bloody
fucking
love.
love her.
Oh my God. So go on.
Okay, so Joanne McNally, if you don't know, she's an Irish comedian and she is the co-host of My Therapist Ghosted Me, along with Vogue Williams, which is a podcast. And it is so funny. They are so funny. Bean and I,
that's my go-to.
we love them.
You know, I mean, like when I'm not listening to us for the edit, which I still laugh at like a true narcissist. I'm like, am I a narcissist or is it just funny? I don't know.
No, it's because we're hilarious.
Okay,
I'm just
great.
Yes. So
yes, love the show.
we're big fans.
So obsessed with her.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, well, they're together on this press trip. I've got an in to get Joanne.
And I was like, Maddie, get in. I want her.
Well, I checked it with Bean. I was like, do you think I should reach out or is it weird? Like, is it a bit kind of too much? And you were like, no, fuck it, do it. Like, let's just.
What have you got to lose? I mean, Ben Dentist London. Ben Dentist London?
Ben Dentist. Oh, yeah, Ben Dentist
London. Oh, you reached out to him? And that was way more embarrassing.
That was
Dr. Ben Dentist
a lot
London.
more embarrassing, you could say.
Yeah, nothing ever came of that, sadly, everybody.
Really embarrassing for me. So I just thought, I'm not embarrassed enough. Let's just. So here's what shall I play the voice message that I sent? Because I sent it on Instagram, so it's still there. And I feel like we can edit it so that it's not obvious who it is.
Hey, a bit random, I'm sending a voice message, but we're just rolling with it. Hope you're having a great time in South Africa. I actually am sending you a voice message. It's actually pretty embarrassing that I'm even asking, but I thought, everyone asks, who cares? So I saw that you're with one of my all-time favourite people, Joanne, who I am completely obsessed with from My Therapist Ghosted Me. Anyway, so I saw that and I was like, holy shit. there's 2 degrees of separation here. And I wanted to just float it by you and see, it's actually really embarrassing that I'm asking, and see if maybe she wanted to be a guest on our podcast. I'm just going to say it. Or maybe I could message her and say, hey, that's great.
Hold on, there's more. Oh, God.
Sorry, it cut me off because even Instagram was like, oh, shut up, Matilda. Yes,
Have you tried shutting the fuck up?
And say, you're going to be on my podcast, and then maybe you could come from the other angle and be like, my friend Matilda messaged me and said she's a big fan, and then you can just leave it there, so you don't have to be asking for any favours because that might be a bit awkward. Anyway, look, I just thought I would bloody ask and see what you say. And, hey, no worries if you don't want to. I get it. That's fine. Hope you're well regardless, and loving all the cool stuff you're doing around mental health since the show. It's very cool. So, yeah, okay, that's all. Have a great day. Bye.
So there it is.
Oh, gosh, she's such a good sport. I love it.
And do you know what happened? Nothing. I got left on scene.
So do you think he's probably listened?
Yeah, he did.
You would listen if someone sent you a voice note.
He listened and then was like, loser. I'm not gonna reply.
Well, he's a loser for not replying.
I know. What the hell? Like, all you had to do was just say, hey, Joanne, this annoying girl wants you to be
is obsessed with you.
Well,
the thing is that like I'm truly obsessed, but I know if I write to her directly, well, one, I think someone else manages her messages, but if I write to her directly and like tell me about how I think that she's my spirit animal, then she will also leave me on scene. Because listen to this though, listen to this. This
is why we're connected.
We are almost the same. My birthday is the 3rd of May. Her birthday is the 7th of May. We're exactly the same age.
Close.
Yeah. Both obs hilarious. We had like a terrible breakup at the same time. And like we have all these life situations that happen at the same time. And now she's also going for her ADHD diagnosis at exactly the same time. We are connected.
Are in bloody unison.
She's out there dating too,
Yeah. She'd be such a good guest, wouldn't she?
So good. But like you can imagine if I messaged and went in with that, she'd be like, get away from me, you absolute
and I do
psycho.
Think he might have mentioned it to her and then she'll be like, they're coming on too strong, like we need to know when to play it cool.
I don't know that we know how to play it cool. Oh, well, the worst anyone can ever say is no. That's what I think. And I know, like in our defense, she doesn't do a lot of podcasts, but she does need to promote herself. So I'm just saying, I think she should.
Does she need some extra listeners in Te Awamutu in New Zealand? I think she possibly does. So
I think she does.
She'll come crawling. She'll realize, you know what? I need them. That's what she's going to think.
100%. Yeah. Well, Maddie, I heard from an ex who reached out to me. Yes. And what I didn't realize, Maurice, is that you were such an avid listener to the show. Which obviously I'm absolutely thrilled about. He had heard the Beans Best Burns segment where I roasted Bevan. He reaches out in response to that reel. He goes, every day I thank all the gods that I wasn't at school when social media was around. Now I'm just thankful that we dated before you became a podcast superstar. And then he goes, I hope Bevan hears that message. He said, I listened to all of your podcasts with the tagline dating stories just to see if the night where I snuck you into my grandparents' house makes the cut. And
that's so good.
Forgotten about that moment in my dating history. Like after you leave a relationship, you go through a transitional stage in your living situation. And his transitional stage was moving in with his grandparents while we were dating. And like hard. Absolute adolescence, we snuck in one night to misbehave.
That is so funny. Well, you can't be having granny and granddad, just seeing you as you pop upstairs, can you? As an adult.
No, there was so much wrong with that as an adult. But like there's so many things that we do as an adult that I'm like, sometimes this makes me feel like really juvenile. Like when you go to the dentist and they always tell you off and, tick you off about your flossing and your brushing technique and,
I know.
they always want to take my wisdom teeth out. I'm like, they're mine, get off.
Yeah,
They
they're
always just have this
they're
kind
not
of like,
hurting anyone yet. Just
just
leave them
just
be.
back off, okay?
Yeah.
Back off.
Get
But
your
they always
pliers
have
back in
this,
your toolbox.
yeah, they always have this sort of condescending, patronizing tone and sort of tick you off. And I always feel like I've done something wrong and I feel very juvenile.
Yes, yeah, and like, don't you think it turns you into a student where you're like, oh yes, I probably should have. It's like, no, I'll fucking actually do what I want.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yes, I should have. I've only been flossing a little bit recently, but I'll make sure to. No, I'll floss when I want to floss. Thank you. I'm 34 years
I'm
old.
gonna
Do
I'm
what I
gonna live
bloody
my
like.
life. I'm
Yeah,
gonna floss when I want.
I might have
Watch me
some
go.
carbonated drinks after this, and you can't stop me
Without a straw.
without a straight liquid on teeth. Eh? What are you gonna do about it,
I'm
Denty?
living dangerously. Oh, goodness me. Well, Maddie, it's
Hey,
been
good stuff.
fun.
It's
Hey,
been
you've
so
got to go and do a
fun.
proper job on the radio.
I do. I'm going to go talk more in a different room with a different microphone.
Oh, great.
I know.
Just keep
I know.
mining that life for content.
Oh, honestly, there's going to be I need to do I need to actually do things because I'm like, I'm not going to have anything to talk about.
Yeah, well, either your kids can call you out at any time though, so that's good.
Yeah, they can. They certainly can. All right, Bean. Well, hey, lots of love. Great
Lots of love to
chat.
you too.
Thank you, listeners. Love you all. And we'll see you next week.
Mate wa, everybody. You take care out there.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Untidy. If you enjoyed it, we would really love your help to support us to continue to make the show. Things you can do that make a huge difference is subscribing to the show so you never miss an episode. You can also leave us a little 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And of course, please share this podcast with your mates. It means that we can continue to build this community, keep putting out Untidy episodes, and just keep doing what we love to do.
And don't forget to check out mybigmoments.com for kids' books that make your tricky job of parenting just a whole lot easier. Untidy listeners get a discount at checkout, so just pop in Untidy for 10% off your order when you check out. And lastly, we would like to thank all of the good people that make this podcast possible, Flicker Williams and Joe Rocker at My Big Moments for the beautiful artwork and design, and Maxine London Creative for editing this episode. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon. Mate wa.